A to Z Futurism, Biocomputers. What is biological computing? A computing device which uses the chemical properties of biological molecules such as DNA to store and process information. In science fiction, it is defined as a computer having components and circuits formed from or modeled on biological molecules or structures. Biological computers, in real scientific works, uses biologically derived molecules such as DNA and/or proteins to perform digital or real computations. The expanding science of nanobiotechnology is thought to have made possible the development of basic forms of biocomputers. History of computing. Classical computing preceded to quantum computing, and biological computing is a recent addition to types of computing. We shall explore classical computing, the abacus to Twitter, and finally biological computing timeline. A computer is a machine that can be programmed to automatically make sequences of arithmetic or logical operations, this widely accepted and defined as computation. Modern digital electronic computers can perform generic sets of operations through programs. The history of programming is clearly represented in the images above of the timeline of classical computing. Programs enable computers to perform a wide range of tasks. The term computer system may refer to a nominally complete computer that includes the hardware, operating system, software, and peripheral equipment required and used for full operation, or to a group of computers that are linked and function together, such as a computer network or computer cluster. From 1975 to 1995, Microsoft and Apple companies led the way to computing and realized the dream of a computer in every home. The computer startups Apple and Microsoft were the first to build a functional commercial computer that would lead to the making of the Internet in various steps as defined by the timeline above. Why is biocomputing crucial in sustainable exponential growth? This question relies on understanding the limits of megahertz or gigahertz of computational processing. The history is clearly illustrated above, therefore the power required to compute is gigantic in scale for classical and quantum computing. Therefore a scalable type of computation that uses less energy and is environmentally friendly is required in the future. While there is no limit to silicon-based classical and quantum computing, they do not offer ecological remediation or super-intelligence for humans. Merging biology with wetware is said to be the ultimate goal enhancement if it is possible in the futures. Thus Organoid Intelligence (OI) has some key advantages over AI, artificial intelligence. Organoids are grown in laboratories and have proven to play ping-pong through computational instructions. Organoid intelligence can also be based on fungi, mushrooms, and other plant life, but particularly DNA and peptides. Here are the advantages and disadvantages of organoid intelligence as listed above. The timeline to biological computing is ubiquitous as quantum computing is said to be in the 2060s, where a speculative biotechnotopia is said to arise. Thus a green future is may be possible through advancements in biocomputers and organoid intelligence. How do biocomputers function? A biocomputer consists of a pathway or series of metabolic pathways involving biological materials that are engineered to behave in a certain manner based upon the conditions input of the system. The resulting pathway of reactions that takes place constitutes an output, which is based on the engineering design of the biocomputer and can be interpreted as a form of computational analysis. An example of a biological machine is a ribosome that uses proteins dynamics on nanoscales to translate RNA into proteins. The behavior of biologically derived computational systems such as these relies on the particular molecules that make up the system. The behavior is therefore influenced by proteins and DNA molecules. Nanobiotechnology is the field of study that is attempting to synthesize the multiple chemical components necessary to create such a system. The chemical nature of a protein is dictated by its sequence of amino acids, i.e. the chemical building blocks of proteins. This sequence is directed by a specific sequence of DNA nucleotides, the building blocks of DNA molecules. Proteins are manufactured in biological systems through the translation of nucleotide sequences by biological molecules called ribosomes, which assemble individual amino acids into polypeptides that form functional proteins based on the nucleotide sequence that the ribosome interprets. All biological organisms have the ability to self-replicate and self-assemble into functional components. The economical benefit of biocomputers is in this potential of all biologically derived systems to self-replicate and self-assemble given appropriate conditions. Three types of biocomputers include biochemical computers, biomechanical computers, and bioelectronic computers. The future of biocomputing. Biocomputers exist with various functional capabilities that include operations of binary logic and mathematical calculations. The MIT Artificial Intelligence Laboratory first suggested a biochemical computing scheme in which protein concentrations are used as binary signals that ultimately serve to perform logical operations. In 1999 there was a biocomputer composed of leech neurons at Georgia Tech which was capable of performing simple addition. The progress in biocomputers may even lead to advancements in integrating biocomputers to humans, for example organoid biocomputers powered by human brain cells. Such advancements may bring us closer to the creation of bioborgs, bioroids, and biobots. In March 2013, a team of bioengineers from Stanford University announced that they had created the biological equivalent of a transistor, which they named a transcriptor. The invention was the final of the three components necessary to build a fully functional computer, i.e. data storage, information transmission, and a basic system of logic. In July 2017, separate experiments with E. coli published on Nature showed the potential of using living cells for computing tasks and storing information. A team formed with collaborators of the Biodesign Institute at Arizona State University and Harvard's Wyss Institute for Biologically Inspired Engineering developed a biological computer inside E. coli that responded to a dozen inputs. The team named the computer Ribocomputer, as it was composed of ribonucleic acid. Harvard researchers proved that it is possible to store information in bacteria after successfully archiving images and movies in the DNA of living E. coli cells. There is growing funding in biological computers and it promises to be useful in the future where it can provide environmentally friendly forms of computing with greater accuracy, speed and efficiency in computing. As previously described in the biocomputer timeline, significant advancement may give rise to a biotechnological singularity point in the 2060s according to futurists in the field of biocomputing and synthetic biology. Biocomputing in science fiction. The television series Star Trek Voyager describes bio-neural gel packs as a form of computer technology used by Starfleet and first developed in the early 2370s. The gel packs are a major component of the bio-neural circuitry, which was a hybrid organic-electronic computer system. The packs contained neural fibers surrounded in a blue gel with metallic interfaces on the top and bottom. They helped store more information and operated at faster speeds than so-called isoliner circuitry. The fibers in an individual gel pack were capable of making billions of connections, consequently generating an incredibly sophisticated and responsive computing architecture. This organic circuitry allowed computers to think in very similar ways to living organisms. The use of fuzzy logic, they could effectively operate by making a best guess answer to complex questions rather than working through all possible calculations as with non-biological quantum computers and classical computers. This was due in part to the inherent ability of organic neural systems to correlate chaotic patterns that eluded the capacities of conventional hardware. Core disciplines in biocomputing. A curious question researchers ask: are fungi the key to a sustainable futures in computing in numerous other fields? Fungi biocomputing, if possible, may allow scalable biogeocomputing for remediation and even post-human enhancement. Thus, one of the priorities in post-human and transhumans is fully understand how computing functions with fungi. In summary, the core disciplines is in three parts. 1. Core computational disciplines. These fields provide the tools and frameworks used to process complex biological data. Bioinformatics, computational biology, biostatistics, machine learning and AI. 2. Core biological and chemical disciplines. These fields provide the data, or the physical, wetware, for biocomputing. Genomics and proteomics, synthetic biology, molecular modeling, systems biology. 3. Engineering and physical disciplines. These disciplines are more prominent when building biocomputers, computers made of biological materials. DNA computing, nanobiotechnology, molecular electronics, neuroinformatics. Thanks for watching. I hope this was informative. Drop a like, share and subscribe to stay tuned for more content.